Or polls roll tonight, right?
Yes, yeah.
What was this business with the notice that they sent out, that said you've got to register? People didn't, I'm wondering if something's changed in the thing, because I've never seen that before. I don't, yeah, I'm
So you have
hoping.
to register, like, to go vote, or just be registered.
The way that the wording said is that you've got to register, but they've never sent out a notification like that. They can do in their
Yeah,
30
yeah,
years,
seems
if you're
confusing.
registered, yeah, it could be language. Of course, the notice, is just have to- I didn't get it until, the end of last week.
Mhm.
That went out on that, it's just peculiar, I haven't done vote yet. I was doing some other stuff.
I didn't even realize today was that day.
Yes, yeah, I almost forgot too.
Yeah, because it's always been, you're normally registered, you're on an app.
Right, that's what I thought, yeah.
And, but they used to also tell us where we had to go, that's the newest one, and at least on that flyer. When they said, here are the 8 sites, you can go to any of those sites.
That's new.
That was what was wondering if they made some other changes. In
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so you can go to, and I was wondering too, where I needed to go, but I'm just gonna go to the place I always go.
I mean, I always used to go to the church, what is it, Trinity? That was at Brandywine and Eastern. And they moved it to the high school.
Yeah, they did a whole bunch of
And
switches.
that's like, what, 7, 8 years ago, more or something like that?
General election, I vote at St. Katarina over there on Rosa Road.
Okay,
And school board, I go to the high school and said, the church doesn't have, play with that Yates, close to there too.
Yeah,
but I've never remembered it being in the same spot. I always remember the earlier elections, somewhere different. But also moved it around different spots. Right now, we're at the church at the corner of Palmer.
We did a little public outreach for the Wallingford Park splash pad, just to see if anybody had any comments. It was supposed to be at 5:30 today. No one asked to be included, so building a splash pad.
just,
People, Pat Smith said everyone she talked to, including the neighbors, was, Richard's right here, we're just thrilled that they're gonna
yeah,
get a splash
I
pad.
think so too. Where is it gonna be in the park? More towards
know,
the
the-
pavilion, or more towards the other side?
If you go down Congress where the pavilion is, but farther towards, farther east,
Okay, yeah.
so up there. I'll show you when we're done. I'll show it to you. Actually,
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Sorry for the delay. My strike did not work, David. I have to lie to myself in my own schedule.
see it right there.
Oh, okay, yeah, so there's a
So we're on that side.
Yep.
All right, Mr. DiCaprio, I had the screen being used for something else. Mr. Russo, see you for the first time.
It's great to see everyone. What am I
No,
saying?
wait, hold on, everything's delayed. Yeah, this is one from Splash Pad, but it's gonna change. There's a real delay here, huh?
Yeah,
I promise you that we have Mr. DiCaprio and Mr. Martin on the line here, and I'm gonna get this back up here on the screen in a second.
Yeah, no problem.
So,
so that was just the side on the splash pad. No, I don't think we part.
nope, we talked about that last week
Well, thanks for
or
filling.
last month.
Thanks for filling the time for me. I know you were covering my butt.
All right,
Oh, wait, for those guys here?
no, they're here. They're listening. You guys can hear us, right?
All right.
We're here.
Okay, great.
Yep.
So we've got Bob Martin, Bob DiCaprio on the line. Is that correct? And Kathy as well?
Kathy, last minute had a work conflict, so she
Okay, no
couldn't make it.
problem. All right, so I'm gonna call to order the May 18th, 2021, Land Bank, meeting. Call to order. We had minutes go out for the March 16th meeting, not too long ago. Can I get a motion to approve those as and a second?
Second.
Okay, the minutes are moved into the record. Let's get a treasurer's report. Oh, I'm sorry, I've lost my touch here. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes going in, thank you, minutes are approved. Treasurer's report, Joe, do we have money? We have a lot of money. Oh, we have a lot of money, Mr. DiCaprio, welcome back. And
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Well, it may look like we didn't make any, spend any money last month. We actually did. We spent about 150,000, and we got about 150,000. It was a lot.
Schenectady County, the last 2 years, the $75,000 grants hit.
Okay.
And, it looks good, and we're spending a lot of money because we're just sending a bunch of vouchers that have been given. So everything else.
David, excuse me, is there a speaker that can go closer to them by any chance? Oh, then I got Kristen cut out. Okay,
Just have to speak up a little bit.
yeah, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Kristen, you're not in the picture, honey, so, yeah, I need Kristen in too. I wanna see all you got, all yous. Okay, great, perfect, thank you. Sorry about that.
When you look at the balance sheet, you can see that admin has a little more than 200,000. Amsterdam also does, but there were no expenditures in the past month from Amsterdam. And Schenectady has just under 1.2 million in their account. And I think that we're basically gotten all of the money that we have been allocated. We have that in cash, am I right?
Enterprise, the admin 4 money, we have one more draw. As you saw, there's a $200,000 final payment for the Renaissance Square project. We have that money and some additional funds still coming, roughly around $200,000 that they owe us.
So we are really solvent at this point as far as money, but I think almost all of that is committed to the projects that we're working on. Does anybody have any questions on the finance report? Hearing none, I'll move to the report.
With the report moved, can I get a motion to accept?
Motion?
And a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Great, Joe, thank you very much. I'm glad that we've got very solvent. I appreciate leadership at Metroplex and overall, it sounds like we've done a great job now at maintaining all of our ducks. And so we're in pretty good shape to continue on for the 21, 22, and maybe a little bit further at this point. I'm going to move to the executive or chairman's report and then hand off to executive director. I do want to just call out a few things. Number one on my list is welcome back, Bob DiCaprio. We're so glad that you are here in attendance, part of the team. You've never been not part of the team, and we appreciate the fact that you're here with us today.
Well, thank you all very much for all your support and your thankfulness.
Yep, no problem. We look forward to you getting back on the horse again in Amsterdam and driving some of that activity out there. We've got a lot of good things going. Just a quick highlight: the Paul project has a construction fence around it. Project sign is up. The demolition probably going to start any day now. So activities are underway on what is, a significant transformative project in the south end of Amsterdam, right? So another great initiative. I'm glad that we pulled it together. I'm glad that DePaul is a partner out there, and it has everything to do with our momentum as a land bank, as a board, and the activities that we've done there in Amsterdam. So great project. Thank you, David, for pulling it through, and thank you, Amsterdam leadership team, for making it happen. Orchard Park, another great project. Christy, thank you so much. We had tremendous lift in terms of what we've done there cleaning up a pocket park that we didn't know existed. I know we did, but it didn't exist for a long time. It was buried by some decrepit houses that had to come down. We took the worst of the worst down. We've got Habitat doing some partnership activities there. We've got the Merchant Association, a neighborhood association. Everybody's part of that great project, and so another great initiative by this board, by this leadership team, by the county. Thanks, Rich McCartney, for representing the county at that ribbon cutting. $100,000 goes a long way to making a real park. So another great project that we can put a feather in our cap on. Along those lines, we continue to work with Habitat. We continue to work with our partners. Habitat's got an event coming up that we gave some supportive sponsorship to. We're very supportive of all the activities that they do, certainly in the city and the county of Schenectady. So we're happy to be part of that event coming up in another week or so, I think. And we look forward to more work with them. Funding streams. I've set formal appointments up with my leadership team on the county, as well as Mayor McCarthy. And I reached out to Mayor Cinquanti as well to talk about how do they want to. Everyone has some dollars coming into their pipeline as a result of federal stimulus. So I've asked each one of them, or I will be formally asking each one of them, how do they want to contribute to the continuance of the land bank. We just talked about our solvency. I know that we've got a pretty good balance sheet in front of us, but in order to be successful moving forward, we're going to require some additional funding. We're going to need to have a project team here at Metroplex again. David's not going to be able to lift it all if we're in 5 different spots. And so, in order to replace supportive staff, we're going to need some dollars to do that. So I'm asking the county, I'm asking the city, and on the Amsterdam side, guys, I know smaller, I think it was about $1.4 million, $1.6 million that came in stimulus into Amsterdam. I wanted to see where Amsterdam wants to be in terms of contribution and or long-term vision of land bank activities in Amsterdam. So hopefully by the next meeting, I'll have something to share in terms of dollars and cents and or pledges from other municipalities that support us already and that we support. And finally, I did want to just can we get like a green space report or what's in our inventory of what we own still for the next meeting? Probably should have put that in new business, but just an FYI. That way we kind of just have a running.
It's always on the website.
Okay.
It's one of the state mandates that we have to do a list of the properties that we own.
All right. Very good. I'll talk to you offline, but we'll just identify it as new business and we'll go from there. Outside of that, it's great to be back in person.
Question that, from looking at funding, have we looked at all what the president's proposed big bill is, whether there's any money that might be coming through with that?
Complete honest answer is no, but it's a massive infrastructure bill that he's proposing that,
Know which, know that you haven't.
no, that I haven't looked into to say what is the nuances of that bill.
There
I
is,
don't know if it's clear yet
Yeah.
either.
there is federal advocacy that we're doing as well as state advocacy. There's the Federal Land Bank Coalition, part of the Center for Community Progress. They've been hosting webinars, meetings with a broader definition of infrastructure. That was once, housing was a big component of that. So they were trying to find an area to bring land banks into the fold. There are a few different bills that have floated around Congress for the past few years. One of them was funding for communities to come up with strategic neighborhood plans that could bring in land banks, land trusts, city housing authorities and the departments together. So the idea is to have funding at that level. But is it there right now? No, obviously there's still conversations about what defines infrastructure.
And so with that said, Joe, again, it does seem that there is a fairly large amount of opportunity out there and with the right advocacy, and as David just pointed out, we've got some coalitions that we're part of and our associations. I think we'll all benefit, from these from that stimulus dollars that are yet to be put in play. You guys hear me in Amsterdam okay still?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so with that said, I will turn it over for an update from David Hogenkamp on the executive director side.
Yeah, we're staying busy. We thank Mark Muir for his service here. He's moved on. So a lot that we committed to this year that we'll continue to do, and then we have to find a plan, and depending on what activity level we're working at with future funding, what fits best. But we're going to continue not only doing our projects, but assisting other organizations with important community development projects this summer. So if you've been down Eastern, you'll see that Renaissance Square, the new construction has been completed. They've received their CO. I think it just looks great on the streetscape there. So we're continuing to work with them. They still own a single family home at 105 Irving, which is right behind the church. I'll be coming to the board in June or July to talk about how we might help them either revitalize the property or provide additional parking to support the church as Renaissance Hall gets back to being an active entity. Other than that, Orchard Park, Christmas team did a great job getting that out, hiring a lot of different contractors, minority contractors from the community. It's a terrific project. It just builds the momentum, which through COVID has been hard, but the momentum that we've been building on Green Street and Mount Pleasant, which I think we'll see more progress the next year or two.
Well, it certainly speaks to our corridor strategy here in the city of Schenectady, and it really is. It's great. Whenever we can make a park, I think that's a good thing for neighborhood. It's a good thing for family. It's a good thing for revitalization activities. And I do want to go on the record of saying thank you to Mark Meyer as well. I apologize, as you mentioned, Mark has moved on for some other things. He moved out of town, I think. Right? And so we thank him for his great service and all of his administrative support. We'll need to find someone in his place so that we can continue all the good things that I know that we put in play with respect to administrative activities and or working with other strategic partners. So.
Okay, you left off the tour that we did, the old school.
That was I can't remember when that was.
That was
Yeah, the board was invited to join the Schenectady Heritage Foundation. We did a tour of the old St. Mary's School. It's just absolutely gorgeous. The really great attention to historic preservation, and I hope you feel as thrilled as I am to see that building come back to life. Kudos to Steve Streichman, even for Eric Schilling, who looked the other way and let Sandy Bardeen put a roof on it, saved the structure. Obviously, Sandy is a big player there to working with us to get the community restored, the building restored. So, Joe, do you have any other comments?
The only other thing, besides the Heritage Group, we also had some people who had gone to school there who came back and who were talking about that this had been this room, that they were in that, and they were absolutely astounded.
Yep.
I think that was just tremendous public relations for us to be able to have that walk through for people who normally would not have any real connection with the thing. But I'm certain that's going to be a lot of word of mouth for them to talk with their classmates and their neighbors to say what good job is being done.
They sent me some great old pictures from 1940, 50, 60. It was a mother and son who both graduated from there. Her mother had her wedding at the church, and then the party reception up in the school.
Wow.
So some pictures from that. So you're going to share those with Home Leasing. Hopefully they'll be some of them friends so people understand the great history there.
Those are always great heritage stories when you do have that connection back 40 or 50 or 60 years ago. I went to school here and bring back all those memories.
And anybody who has acrophobia has to stay off the top floor. If you've been there, they know what I'm talking about. I stayed well back from the windows.
Okay, well, we have 5 items for board consideration tonight, all important items. If you don't mind, we'll just jump in. So I don't have the packet in front of me. I'm just going to come from the that's okay, from the agenda. So item resolution 2021-09, our Mount Pleasant Merchants Association and Thriving neighborhood challenge. David, could you summarize?
Yeah, just as with Wallingford Park, and we did this with East Front Street neighborhood, we serve as the not-for-profit sponsor to help them, take their vision and implement it. This includes some new garbage cans, branding the areas, Engine Hill. You see in the memo, I put the picture of what the original train was like. This is they're really embracing this history and kind of redefining the area. So they'll do some new garbage cans with the branding, some banners, and also they're wrapping utility boxes. That's a $21,000 grant. They're making some purchases, down payments, tomorrow, and we'll help them get this moving.
Any questions? I think it's a great project. It's kind of like our hometown heroes kind of thing, right? You put people's, you put a stake in the ground, right? You give it something for people to kind of say, I take pride in it, and I love these kinds of projects. So.
Move the resolution.
Thank you. In a second,
Second?
all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Action approved. Second item tonight is intermunicipal agreement, resolution 2021-10, entering an agreement with DEC. David, can you summarize?
Yeah, so this is something that the Land Bank, New York State Land Bank Association has been talking about for quite some time now. The DEC is engaged with different land banks across the state, providing them an opportunity to take some of the properties that are either perceived to have environmental risk or are known environmental hazards. Maybe they've been cleanup sites in the past, and allowing land banks to get engaged with the property, whether it's through taking title or doing some due diligence on them, to just determine how we could take this unproductive property and work with a partner who might, want to take advantage of the brownfield tax credit program or has access to other resources that would be able to clean the property up. Because we also have Metroplex, which I always says has been land banking since 1999, they just do commercial and industrial properties. The DEC has agreed to work with both the city, the county, Metroplex, the land bank to sign this agreement, and then add the properties that we deem as environmentally contaminated that we'd want to have the opportunity to go in and not have liability with the oil spill fund or the DEC for any of the previous environmental hazards that exist. So, 2021-10A is just to authorize us to enter into an agreement. There are 133 Edison, which we'll talk about. That's one property we've identified that in the past the city had not moved forward with foreclosure. I know there's a few in the county as well. So we're going to kind of pull all these properties together, enter into this agreement, and then that will allow Metroplex and the land bank to decide which entity is the right entity to start the investigation.
That's great news. So that the DEC is willing to not put the land bank or anybody at risk.
Yeah,
for liability
the
of
city,
it.
the county, wherever the foreclosing governmental entity is, because they don't want to take title to the property. St. Mary's School was.
Yeah,
one
no,
of these
yeah,
where-
because then you're in the line.
Chain of
and-
title,
yeah.
yeah. So they're willing to enter
And
into
that
this
came up a
agreement.
couple times.
Yeah, so if any of these properties you're talking about now, just
Mhm.
please get them to us because we can then put this into this agreement. And then that allows us to determine, they give you a 4-year window to,
Mhm.
are you going to do due diligence? Are you going to take the property? If not, then they're going to take it off. So it can't be forever.
Yeah,
The idea
but
of
that's
just moving
great,
it to a
yeah.
private entity.
Is
Yeah,
there
the
an opportunity for Amsterdam?
Yeah,
That would be a different agreement, obviously, because
Yep.
of the parties that are in that, but this sounds to me like something that the city of Amsterdam might want to also.
Absolutely.
participate in.
yeah. And I think we have to figure out the best way to coordinate, and land banks across the state are talking, but the Mohawk Valley Land Bank obviously has other communities within Montgomery County. So if there are any identified properties, we should move forward with this concept. Because it's a valuable approach.
Do we approach the administration with it? Do I get Nick involved, or do we get Nick involved to?
Well, I
Why
think
don't
the
you
first,
comment?
the first question is, what properties have they identified this issue? This came about because we saw 133 Edison Avenue. It's downtown, it's underutilized, but there should be demand for it. And that's what got us to explore this. In Amsterdam, I think the question is, I know there's some of the old factory buildings there. At what point does it become viable to enter into this agreement because you think that there is real redevelopment opportunities? Because if you can, scope a project, identify what the environmental hazards are, and then go out and try to find a developer who would take advantage of things like the brownfield tax credit and things like that, then you're onto something. Here the community builders has done a great job using the brownfield tax credit program in addition to the affordable tax credits and historic tax credits. Some of their redevelopment now at the corner of Albany and Craig Street. That was something that could have probably benefited from this. In this case, the city did not know the level of contamination, I think, when they originally took it, but this would have been a strong program to use.
So I think there's more exploration to do from on the Amsterdam side. We can do it off, come out of this discussion, maybe get Nick involved and understand if there's candidates and maybe this would be a good way to go. With that said, can I get a motion to move and a second?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye, those opposed nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is moved. Thank you, guys. Okay, third item. It's gonna end up being a good thing for us. We got started, but 1009, 1011 Strong Street.
There was a new agenda. I should.
You missed, there's a B.
Yeah, there's a B that I added in for the fact that I apologize.
Thank you, that's all right.
I printed, but this is what's happened without Mark.
Right.
So this is,
You pulled it off. You did a great job.
2021-10B, which is related to this agreement, would be 133 Edison Avenue. So this is the property that first got us talking to the DC. It's a 0.26 acre parcel with a 21,000 square foot building on it. It's on the same memo as before. The city council has approved entering into agreement with either Land Bank or Metroplex to take title or assign the rights to the property. They have not finished the foreclosure yet because this was a property they were concerned about contamination. What the city has done is the courts have allowed them to move forward to get onto the property to do some additional testing, phase 2 environmental. The city would enter into an agreement with the land bank to transfer to the property to us if we so choose to do it based on the results of further environmental testing.
Okay.
So with the environmental testing, it won't actually be us who will do the testing or pay for the testing. A neighboring property owner who is interested in this property has agreed to pay upfront to do that testing, with the understanding that if the testing comes back as something that they can use some of the cleanup programs, or maybe there's Metroplex or Land Bank assistance, they'd be interested in acquiring the property. So right now, all we're doing is we're looking for an agreement with the city to accept the assignment, which will allow us to have access to the property to do this testing.
Everybody clear?
So,
Makes sense to me. Again, another, well thought out approach, right? How do we get these projects? How do we get these properties moved?
What's the potential use? The person is interested.
So the developer, Highbridge Development, who owns other warehouse buildings right nearby, they would potentially, after they do their assessment, renovate the property and use it as is. So that's what their interest is. But that all depends on, I think there's oil tanks discovered.
No, I mean, the potential is that this would be restored in its existing warehouse.
Industrial warehouse manufacturing.
That's all I was looking. A motion,
So moved. In a second,
second.
all those in favor indicate by saying aye, those opposed nay. Motion is approved.
All right, now we're on the Strong Street.
Thanks, back on my agenda here. 1009, 1011 Strong Street, resolution 2021-11, amending of the general project plan. David will give us a good detailing of what's going on here.
Yep, project did not go as planned.
No.
Bobby Caprio, you leave for a few months and we find a dud without you to tell us to continue our due diligence. No, it's a very old home. I think even older than the records indicated. And once we started, we did our abatement of the property, which would have been required if we were to demolish it anyways or renovate it. And following that, our contractor, which was BKJ Construction, were brought in by the city to help run a construction workforce training program and do the renovation. They brought us down to the basement and we looked again at the floor joists and we just noticed how many of them were broken. The main support beam had kind of delaminated and broke. And to meet code, it would have required taking out the whole first floor system, which this was already ambitious because we were taking out the whole second floor system and rebuilding the roof line. It's a big project, a substantial project. When I looked at our budget and what we had as contingency and really started to evaluate what it would be to bring this up to to code in the way that I think we'd like to do it, it just became very evident it wasn't going to be something that we could do successfully within our budget and what the city was providing. I notified the contractor of that, and he came back and said, well, my labor is a big piece of that. I'd be very interested, rather than you demolishing the property, which has a nice side lot from another demolition site. I'd be interested in acquiring the property. My son is never owned a home before. I'd like to make him a first-time homeowner. I said, well, great. There's a terrific mortgage program where you get $20,000 as part of the renovation. You already have a set of plans. It's already been abated. How about you take the value of your labor and your demolition that you've done to date, which is about $19,000, and we'll sell you the property for $1, and you don't charge us for that labor. He said, sure. His son is thrilled to be making this property his own, and I'd like to get the board's authorization to either cancel or amend the existing contract. I say that because we're looking at this Prospect Street project that we're talking about later. It was a contract for $153,000. We've notified him to cease doing work on it already, but we'd end that contract and authorize the sale to either the contractor, BKJ, whose owner is Søren Droft Ramneth, or his son Jonathan Ramneth, who will be the owner occupant. I put multiple entities because our hope is Jonathan will qualify for this mortgage program, so he could be the owner. If he doesn't, it might make more sense for his father to purchase it first. But the intent is for it to be owner occupied, and we'd be selling to him for basically washing our costs on the property.
So we step off the project, we uncouple ourselves from the project because the project scope is going to be just too much left for us based on structural failure in the basement, etc.
Yeah.
They like it though because they feel like sweat equity and whatever, they'll make it work.
This is a great contractor rehab, sweat equity. It's not a good one if you're paying for someone's
But
labor.
we don't want to put $200,000 into a house that's worth 100.
Right, yeah.
And we
Just
were already
18 months
close to
feasible.
doing that already, and
Right.
if you add another 30, so it's not only redoing the first floor joist system, but you had to throw out the walls to meet energy code,
Right.
because there's not enough depth in there. So you're looking 30 to 35 right there, and that's not even getting to finishes or anything like that.
Right.
So,
And
yeah,
I
makes
think
sense.
nobody, and just the fact that the abatement is done, nothing else would have happened with that house, it would have been demolished, so the fact that they're willing to do it.
Yeah.
seems-
Which goes to our mission, put it back on the tax rolls at some point. Is there a period of time that we're expecting, or we're just gonna wash our hands of the contract, have at it, pay $1?
yeah, I wasn't.
2 years from now, if it hasn't anything done, are we looking to?
I can do maybe a clawback after 2 years. I think what I don't want to do is put an aggressive timeline on this, because this is kind of nights and weekends.
Right.
When they're not busy.
Right.
Phil, then, I mean, with BKJ Construction, completed 839 Eastern for us. they work fast. I wouldn't be surprised if it's done before that.
I feel like we have a fiduciary responsibility to the community to put some timeline on, and it doesn't have to be aggressive. 2 years is fine. I'm open to longer if we think it's appropriate.
No, I think
But I
that's
think
fine.
we should
I
put
think it makes
an
sense.
endpoint that says, you will do what you said you were gonna do. That's why we did what we said we were gonna do.
Yep. So I will include that in the contract. I don't think that needs to change the resolution. It'll just be a note that it will be included in the contract.
Joe, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Good, okay, great.
And the question that I was gonna ask, is that's not exactly clear in your memo. How much money is the 22,000 inclusive of the 19,000 or exclusive? Is that the issue?
No, this is what we spent on asbestos abatement
Right.
and monitoring. The 19,000 was what we have also.
So that, no, because that ties in with the, you're gonna, we've already got 22,000 into the project. So that means we should be definitely have a clawback on it. That's just a further justification for the clawback.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I appreciate the contractor with having the interest to do this, but
Mhm.
for him, he's got plans, he's got a permit in place already, he's got a
Yeah.
dumpster out there already, so
Right,
he
right.
could have really stuck us with, the damages. of-
Buy me out of this contract now, right?
Yep.
So with that said, do we amend or do we cancel and move to a new agreement? Because amending means that we're gonna put a new property in play, right?
Oh, and that's
That's the
the
next
the
resolution.
intent, we're just not there right now with Prospect Street, which will be the next, we're gonna approve a general project plan, which gets us close to wanting to put another property in play, but, again, just as we did do a lot of due diligence on this, it just, unfortunately, there's things in the basement that were just missed by the architect. Before we just move full speed ahead with Prospect Street, I do want to do a little bit more due diligence on that, with the intent that we want to keep this contractor busy. He wants to do the construction training program. The city wants to see that program happen. So that's more a question for me to ask the lawyers how best to handle that.
Okay. Yeah, whatever the right way to do that is, I think I don't want to have a residual from an old contract leading into a new one.
Right.
I feel like canceling or closing out rather is the best way to go, but I'll
Yeah,
defer
no,
to
that's a good comment. And that's why, I was gonna just defer to how the lawyers thought it would be best handled.
Okay. Further discussion on resolution 2021-11.
The resolution specifically says to amend. Are you talking about changing it to cancel?
We're amending the general project plan. So, where do you see the?
No, I'm saying that's the point. It's the project plan.
So the resolution, if you look at the second resolve, after the now therefore be it resolved, there's a resolve and a second resolve. Enter into agreement with BKJ Contracting to cancel or amend the existing
Okay, I
contract.
said, all right, very good.
So again, and I'll defer to council how they want to handle that.
Could I get a motion?
I'll move, but I also want to change the top before you came in the initial resolve clause. It says for the project submitted to this meeting.
Mhm.
We usually use the language attached here too. In other words, adopt the amended general project plan adopted, attached here too.
Yep.
So I'll move as amended.
Very good. A second? By Mr. Patroni. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. Appreciate the dialogue and moving this forward. I think it's a good project, as you said, for this contractor. Puts it back on the tax rolls long term, or should put it back on the tax
And
rolls.
I
So
think, I think it's
accomplish
just
the mission.
overall, it was really gonna be, and that's why we're trying to continue with something like Prospect or Find. There's a lot of city-owned properties that are really just prohibitive to redevelop, and this was almost like a pilot to say, okay, how can we do construction training, but also, rehab some of these buildings that really no one else is
Right.
probably gonna do, before they get so bad that they are demolished. So we're hoping that, this is a success with Prospect and that we can expand that program to take care of more of these vacant buildings.
I think that's exactly what our expanded mission that we talked about going back about a year now. How do we do more? How do we transition from demolition and renovation to tying into the revitalization of the bigger community.
Right.
That's not just property, now it's the people within that community, and how do we help as a land bank to do that? And if it's job training, rehabs like this, special rehabs that we need to give that little extra horsepower to or support, then I think that we're accomplishing the mission in a big way. Great, okay, that was resolution 2021-11. Next on the list is 2021-12, Prospect Street, which I'm hoping is the target of that expanded program activity.
Yeah, so we acquired Prospect Street following tax foreclosure from the city in 2019. We did it because we had the Seat Center project right across the street. We demolished 2 properties adjacent to this, which Better Neighborhoods has received funding to build 3 units of good rental housing. We've spent a lot of time talking about the property and the right use, and I think that we really want to see a good mix of renters and homeowners in the neighborhood. So as we saw the challenges in 1011 Strong, I appreciate Kristen Hertz's interest in finding another property. And I said, well, what about 110 Prospect? We already had the asbestos survey done, so we knew what needed to be done there. And we, Rich and I just recently toured another project we're doing with Habitat right down the street, which was a really successful conversion of a 2-family into a different format of a 2-family for the idea of, maybe a larger family with an in-law suite, a mother-in-law suite, or maybe someone aging out to a smaller place where they could rent the other side. So it was a unique plan. It's a plan that in coordination with Habitat we came up with. And as we walked this 2-family, it became pretty evident that, you could probably do a similar plan here. So, we reached out to BKJ Construction, wanted to see their interest on if they felt they could take what was planned at 760 Eastern, implement it here for somewhere around the contract value that we had for 1011 Strong Street. They're amenable to coming up with a plan. They actually submitted scheduled values of how they think that it could work. But we do want to do this right. We want to go through it with an architect, which we plan to do tomorrow, and do kind of a design build project with BKJ to see if we can recreate what has been, again, a real successful transformation at 760 Eastern. So to start that, we want to get this property abated. We put that out to 4 different contractors, abatement contractors. We got a great number from Greater Environmental Resources LLC, a minority women-owned business right here in Schenectady for $12,984. What I'm looking for today is to authorize entering a contract with the abatement firm, and then allocating an additional $10,000 for just other improvements to continue the process to get this property moving towards a contract to do the workforce training there. That would be getting temporary electrical on, developing plans, and doing other activities that get us in the right direction. So in June, we can come back and feel confident that we have a good project planned.
So again, expansion of exactly that program that we just spoke of, reinforcing a neighborhood that we've already invested in, that we've got Habitat activity in, we've got some other connective tissue in, and I think it's a great project that we pivot to. Any further dialogue or discussion on this?
Everything that we're talking about is within the 193,000 originally proposed, or we're providing additional.
So the contract with BKJ, the original one was 153,000.
Okay.
So if we're looking at, if we're looking at 12,000 for abatement, and then you're going to do design. The concept is to keep it right around that same amount, but
And this is, well, it's through CDBG, right, will reimburse
for the first 100.
for the.
Yep.
Yeah, just.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we're still sticking within generally at this
That's the
within the
intent.
budget.
Yep, we're going to design to that budget, knowing, and during this, I think why we can be a little bit flexible is we're going to put a sign up there and we're going to try to attract homeowners with the intent that hopefully if we have someone who's mortgage qualified, ready to be an owner occupant, they can let us know if there's any additional work or work that they might, part of our plans, they might not see as beneficial to their living arrangement. But yeah, that's the idea.
Okay, get a motion to move.
Motion?
Second.
Thank you. In a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
I,
Aye.
Motion is moved. Thank you. What a good effort. Okay, finally, item 5, Cocoa House project. This is resolution 2021-14, another project plan, another general project plan, and an MOU. Where again, what we talked about, which is reaching deeper into our communities, reaching deeper into our neighborhoods. How do we support the bigger mission that we want to? David, can you summarize?
Yep, so there's just some background on the Cocoa House, a really terrific organization in the Hamilton Hill neighborhood. They've have a vacant property next to them. It was their sponsor, Sikkim. In fact, the Intercity Ministry has owned it for a while, and then it was transferred to Cocoa House as they became their own entity. They always envisioned how they could use that property to continue to increase their presence in the neighborhood. You'll see on the second page of the memo kind of a vision of combining those properties, having a grand porch that brings them together with the property on the left, which is the property that we're talking about, the vacant 867 Stanley. Excuse me. Yes. That they would use that on the first floor as kind of more of a teen center to further delineate the programming. The second floor efficiency apartment, which would allow them to bring in a little additional revenue to support the buildings and further engage people in the Cocoa House community. Think about a caretaker type approach to keep eyes on the property when it's not being used. Will Rivas has done a great job putting the project together here. I don't think we're quite there yet as to really driving down on what the total project is, but we're getting close. And so what I'd like to see is that as they keep moving forward to really nail down the contractor, they're looking to work with the Seat Center in some capacity to do this. That we take a step forward. We help them do the asbestos abatement. We completed a survey for them. The basement has friable asbestos, needs to be cleaned out. Greater Environmental again was the low bid, and they'd like to really around the same time they do Prospect, go in there, complete the abatement, which would allow that piece of the puzzle for the property be completed. That's going to be $9,436. Of course, there'll be monitoring and other expenses. What I'm proposing is that I'd like to assist the $180,000 project, give or take, with $60,000 of land bank money, returning a vacant property to positive use. It helps match some private donations and CDBG funding. We make $20,000 of that available for asbestos abatement. We do a survey to combine the properties, which will let them get a building permit, and some of the specific challenges of the properties will be addressed when you combine them. So $20,000 available now, and then $40,000 available for renovation expenses upon receiving a full project budget, scope of work, contractor who's lined up, seeing their contract in place.
Reinforcing that the Cocoa House is a great project, great program. Will Rivas has worked really hard in community to do not only outreach, but to do the engagement, right? How does he create value for kids and adults alike on transitioning and our teaching skills, and they're saying there's more to life than being on the streets. And that's what resonates for me in the Cocoa House. And I want to support him. I want us to support him. I hope that the board feels the same way, because it's individuals like this that are leaning deep into that make a difference in our communities. So, and I sure would like to understand, in Amsterdam, gentlemen who a similar type program that might be outreaching into communities at risk that we could also leverage. Again, this is about revitalization of community, not just taking down houses and painting window frames. So open to that discussion. I'd like to get a motion for 2021-14.
13.
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Aye.
Chairman, sorry, you also, the first agenda had 2021 14, which was out of order, so that had been fixed too.
Sorry, thank you. Oh, right, right, thank you.
So that was our
13.
fault.
Thank you for the record. Thanks, everyone. That's a great project, and I look forward to more like this. And that's what I'm going to be asking municipal leaders for support. How do we go deeper? How do we engage further? How do I get administrative support at the leadership level to do these kinds of projects? There's going to be plenty of houses to take down long term, but this is where we're going to make even a bigger difference.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Okay, we do have some additional items tonight. Thanks again for a little extra time. Old business, we had some board evaluations.
Yeah, what I want to do is, because we have a public meeting for the Wallingford Park project splash pad that we're doing at 5:30, so it's online. So I just want to go through things fast. Well, the board evaluations, I just wanted to tally everything up, see how everyone felt. You know, the organization is actually changed. We're going to a period now where before it was really applying the funds based on the grants we received. And now we've, in both for Schenectady and in Amsterdam, we have a little, funds set aside, and what is your vision to see that funding allocated towards projects? I really want to make sure that I am fully providing the board, your opportunity to use your vision. It's been a while since we've done any vision sessions, so maybe in June or July, we'll get into that. That's okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think what I'm hearing you say is let's do a strategic vision session outside of the board meeting, or do we carve a board meeting? It sounds like you have a lot of business to do. Do we take a board meeting and call it?
Yeah, I think maybe
Okay.
in June, you will just see what the agenda looks like.
Great.
Because there are a few things I know that we're going to be coming back for a 110 prospect. So maybe we just put that into the board meeting.
I'm gonna throw out in the new business as to whether or not we want to be able to change our structure. We have not had monthly board meetings for a while. And we say that we specified that we do. I would like us to switch to a 5-month, like every other month meeting, and then be able to do the off month when we need it for something like this. Instead of taking it for both things. Because our business has changed.
I know we're gonna run out of time. Pam, are you okay with that approach as well? If we went to a bi-monthly and then use the off month for other business if necessary? Amsterdam?
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, that sounds good to me. Yeah.
Okay, great. For an item.
Well, yeah, I want to discuss with as our staff has gotten smaller though, the process stuff is challenging to keep up with. That's another conversation about the website. So it is, even if the board wants to meet and have conversations and then bring it back to me, I'm going to need a little help until we have it.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
There's a memo I put in there. I just want to make sure everyone's aware of this community gardens project we're trying to work on. I authorized to enter into contract for $1,000 with Community Capital Roots to come up with a plan and a design. Just want to make sure you're aware of that. The idea is if we see a feasible project, we come back, we'd invest in it. We'd ask the Schenectady Foundation to invest in it. So that's, want to give you aware of that.
What happened to there used to be a community gardens organization in Schenectady. You don't have any reference to that here on the screen.
Is that Capital Roots, which used to be the community, they had a name.
It could have been.
They still own quite a few gardens. And then we're actually working by the Steinman's homes with a vacant parcel there for them to work with. So we're working with them. They're the ones who would come up with the plan. My side has expressed interest in the Annie Schaefer Center. So, just want to make you all aware of in Rotterdam, one of their biggest priorities for a vacant building was 2318 First Avenue. We've spent the past 5 or 6 months in negotiations with this private owner. We helped with the asbestos survey. He wants to deconstruct the property, and he is working on that right now. This was the county legislature had made this a major priority. He's begun work. We are also making provisions to potentially help with some of the debris removal costs. but this is a private project. There's nothing that in our spending that's brought it past the authorization of the executive director. But right now, we see a minimal role in helping to facilitate the removal of the home. If he does not follow through with it, though, there are provisions where I'd have to come to the board and ask for approval to hire a demolition company to finish the job.
I would ask us to be hasty with that outcome. In other words, I don't want it to be 7 months of one board at a time.
Yes, July 1st to get it done. If it
Okay.
doesn't, if it's not July 1st, then we can come back,
Okay.
take action,
Great.
with the authority on it.
And I don't want to embroil us in some legal action at the same time that just, spends dollars that should be better spent on programs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last thing is our website no longer functions. It's WordPress changes, the security features change. When we designed the website, it was thinking that we'd have all these properties we'd be listing for sale. It was a fantastic website. I've kept it going as long as possible. It would cost $1,500 to redo the website, but again, it becomes an issue of, do you want a bunch of static material up there that's not up to date? All the news that we've been putting through is usually just linking to another organization, Metroplex here or in Amsterdam, and listing that. What I do have the option of doing is keeping the capitalregionlandbank.org.com domain names. We have a page on Metroplex for the IDAs, the Community Resource Corporation, I may want the land bank too. Keeping a minimal presence online. This still lets people do the live stream, see all our news. I don't want to have a website that's not functioning or is not updated.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to have standard content. Obviously, top of mind as being in alignment with authority's budget office or
And that's
public
what- yeah,
authority
we
that
have to
we're
do that.
identifying our bylaws and our meeting minutes and whatever else we need to put out there. So you'll still be able to do that administration on
On
a
an
separate.
updated site that will be branded as the land bank as part of the Metroplex.
So we'll keep the domain. If you click to it, it'll just route to a link,
Yeah.
which really brings us to Metroplex's homepage, or if you will,
To the land bank.
which will be the
page.
land bank landing page.
I would suggest doing that for now,
Yeah.
and then if more funding comes, if the organization grows into a different, animal, we then reevaluate whether we want to create a page again that links directly to the Capital Region Land Bank.
Amsterdam, you okay with that as well?
Yes.
Because I mean, at that point, it's sitting on Metroplex, which is not necessarily an Amsterdam entity, right? And I'm sensitive to that.
Well, I think if someone is looking for us, they'll be able to find us, and that's what's most important.
Okay, fair enough.
Do we have any statistics while it was active as to how many people?
I haven't received those in a few years. I just haven't been looking. Again, there's just too much to do.
Yeah, the other comment that I make is that I'm working with another organization that had its domain stolen. And simply decided not to be able to go through the legal mess
Taking it back.
of trying to get it back from the licensor or whatever it is that the people who.
Yeah, if you don't renew it, then.
No,
someone-
this was renewed, we
Oh, really?
paid,
Mhm.
we had paid, and then they said, well, you've got to pay more money on the thing, or they're
Yeah.
gonna do something with the thing. We didn't bother to, said it was not worth
Mhm.
doing it, but I'm just saying, that's one of the
Yeah.
problems, apparently that's been going around, is these companies that you get the domain name from, are playing games. And nobody's really going after them, because they're not playing games with the big boys, they're playing games with the small
Yep.
fry.
Okay. I know that we've got, you said you got another meeting, got a public.
Yeah, we gotta jump on that. So,
All
I
right,
gotta go vote.
all right.
thank you both.
Thank you, David.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Meeting,
you.
if there's something else to cover, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody.
Very,